coming up today on Good Morning BU. It's student election season. We update you on the student election debate this week and hear from one of the Slate's executive vice president.
We're rounding out Women's History Month by focusing on women in law. I sat down to speak with a public defender to talk about her role, the challenges she's faced, and the historic nomination of Ketanji Brown Jackson.
And BU sports teams are in high gear. Addison Cummings breaks down this week in sports from BU to March Madness.
And Starbucks unions are coming to Boston. Our politics reporters bring you the latest about the nearby efforts.
Live from Studio West in the College of Communication, Good Morning BU starts right now. I'm Chloe Liu.
And I'm Alex Dowd. Here are today's top stories.
BU Student Government hosted a debate this past Tuesday night where Fight to BU and BU spoke on Greek life connections, sexual assault preventions, and steps to improve students' mental health. The debate began with BU speaking on how student health services lacks resources for students. BU said they hope to implement peer counseling as a way for students to have more intimate conversations with other students.
Along with that, they hope to bring therapy dogs to campus during finals, as well as form partnerships with yoga studios and gyms in order to provide students with affordable classes, all to help improve student well-being. BU's slate promised students would see their sexual assault prevention strategies implemented and not just hear about them. Fight to BU said they hope to draft a survivor's Bill of Rights and create connections with leaders in Greek life.
Now, earlier this week, on-campus fraternity Delta Tau Delta faced a sexual assault allegation, prompting Fight to BU statements on Instagram. They say they will cut ties with anyone affiliated with DTD on its campaign. In their caption, they say they will always stand with survivors.
Fight to BU's removed Micah Borkman, president of Delta Tau Delta, from their board. He was vice president of finance. Borkin was replaced by Lauren Kong, a freshman in the Sargent College of Health and Rehabilitation Sciences. Fight to BU says that Greek Connections will facilitate conversations and create change surrounding sexual assault on campus.
Ahead of the election next week, I sat down with BU's executive vice president candidate Sahidi Achanta. Joining me now is BU's candidate for Executive Vice President, Sahidi Achanta. Welcome to GMBU.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you for your time. Let's dive right in. What sets BU apart?
I think what's really special about our slate is that it's comprised of a lot of members, campaign staffers as well, or organizations that we're connected to that were not originally that close to student government. We're not very aware of student government's presence on campus, but understand that they could really use the support and the community that student government has in order to uplift their own agendas and their own goals, especially for environmental clubs on campus or clubs focusing on DEI, LGBTQ inclusion, and we really want to broaden our scope, and we think that's what sets us apart compared to other slates.
Mm-hmm. Now, I know you're personally very passionate about environmentalism and sustainability. So what are some of the environmental goals you personally hope to achieve should you win this election?
We see that the main issue with sustainability is that students don't have access and they don't know how to get involved. We see that a lot of students, specifically in Stuvie or South Campus, don't have proper access to the recycling and composting facilities available to them. And instead, we want to work closely with facilities to make sure that those students get the access to sustainability and that they feel included in that process. Additionally, we see that a lot of students have to put their dietary setbacks aside. For example, many students come here wanting to be vegan or vegetarian to support the environment. However, dining halls do not have adequate plant-based foods, vegan, vegetarian foods, which makes students feel like they have enough nutrition that they're able to go about their day energized. So we want to make sure that we're giving a wide, diverse array of plant-based foods that are vegan, sustainable, vegetarian, all of those things to students. And so we want to make sure that we're uplifting the organizations on campus that are already having these goals, and we also want to make sure that students have that access within their dorms on campus.
Now, earlier this week, Fight to BU, the opposing slate, announced that any members of their campaign associated with the fraternity Delta Tau Delta should remove themselves from the campaign, and that included their candidate for VP of Finance. What was your team's reaction to that?
Honestly, we were as shocked as the rest of the student body when we saw that announcement. We really want to make sure that transparency is available to the student body and that students understand what's going on, because many students are coming up to us asking us questions, and I feel bad that we don't have answers to give them. We're also not very aware of the situation, and it's a personal issue that we see that they're resolving on their own.
Mm-hmm. I think it's safe to say that, the participation we see in previous student government elections is still on the lower end when you consider how large the student population is. What is this problem a reflection of, and what are some of the solutions that are out there to tackle this lack of, attention from the general population?
Yeah, honestly, that's a great question, and it's one that I have been asking myself so much through campaigning. So we believe that the best way that we can improve the reach of this election, but also student government as a whole, is making sure that students feel heard, feel accepted, and feel like they're being represented in whatever policy is being passed through student government. Oftentimes, many of the policies can only affect smaller communities within BU, and many other people don't feel like they're being included in conversation. They don't know what's going on their own campus. And that's why we're very proud to be a campaign focused on individuality and how we can be a community of individuals supporting each other and looking out for each other.
Well, Sahidi, thank you again for your time today. Really appreciate it. You can vote for either slate from March 28th to the 31st through StudentLink. Although he was unavailable this week, next week we'll be speaking with Fight to BU's presidential candidate, Dhruv Kapadia, about his slate's plans for this election.
And Boston University has recently updated their COVID regulations for the remainder of the academic year. In an email from Student Health Services, Director Judy Platt sent yesterday morning, students were notified of a new face mask policy that does not require a mask covering to be worn in most areas on campus. However, masks are still required in classes, the BU shuttle, and all healthcare facilities. Once-a-week testing will continue until the end of the academic year, and after May 23rd, only symptomatic testing will be available. Students who contract COVID after June 1st will have to isolate it in their designated residence, and BU will continue to require that all members of the community be up to date with their vaccinations and booster shots.
And BU Students for Reproductive Freedom launches a Plan B vending machine on Tuesday after being in the works for over 5 years by the students in the club. The Plan B vending machine in the GSU basement was revealed. Unlike most expensive vendors, this machine sells Plan B for $7.25, and it takes all major credit cards, making it much more affordable for college students in need of an emergency morning after pill. Plan B can also be obtained through Planned Parenthood and BU's health services. Coming up next, labor unions are forming at several Starbucks stores around Boston. GMBU's Sydney Topf brings us more.
And later, what's it like serving as a female public defender? I sat down with one to find out.
To Maddie, congrats on paying off all those student loans.
Finally, right?
How'd you manage that anyway?
I started tracking my spending, changed a couple of habits.
Wow, I'm kind of living paycheck to paycheck right now. I don't even know how I'm doing it.
Well, have you tried saving a little?
I want to, but where's that money gonna come from? Bill collectors, they're the worst. Am I right?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind.
Not home.
Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org.
Looks like it's done.
Don't let salmonella get funky with your chicken. On average, 1 in 6 Americans will get a foodborne illness this year. You can't see these microbes, but they might be there. So learn the right temperature to cook each type of meat. Keep your family safe at foodsafety.gov.
There's one thing you can never have sex without.
It's not something you buy.
Or something you take.
In fact, there's only one way to get it.
It has to be given to you, freely.
It's consent.
Because sex without it isn't sex.
It's rape. Consent.
If you don't get it, you don't get it. It's on us to stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
Welcome back. A month after their invasion of Ukraine, Russian forces are being pushed out of the country and establishing defensive positions northwest of the capital. World leaders met Thursday in Brussels for emergency summits of NATO, the European Council, and G7, seeking to unify their responses to Russia's invasion. The U.S. unveiled new sanctions and a plan to accept 100,000 Ukrainian refugees into the United States. On Thursday morning, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky addressed the summit virtually, requesting fighter jets, tanks, and stronger air defenses from allied forces.
And in Massachusetts, Governor Charlie Baker announced a new $50 million workforce development program aiming to help people get back to work and fulfill training needs. The new Hire Now program will use $50 million in Federal American Rescue Plan Act funds to help companies pay for training and hiring bonuses for new employees. This announcement was made from Lab Central, a Cambridge laboratory space that hosts life science and biotech startups.
And back here in Boston, Mayor Michelle Wu announced the new Office of LGBTQ+ Advancement. This office holds the responsibility of developing policies, programs, and resources. Wu has conducted other allyship work before. When she was a city councilor, she worked with fellow city councilor Liz Breton to create an ordinance on gender inclusivity on all citywide documents and certificates. In a statement, Wu stated that, quote, "This new office will ensure that our policies and programs are advancing and protecting the rights and dignity of Boston's LGBTQ+ residents and centering the lived experiences of queer, trans, BIPOC residents in the city's work to make Boston a place for everyone."
And coming up, I will be speaking with a public defender from Ohio, Christine Communal, to talk about her role in the historic nomination of Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson.
It's 28 years ago, and times have changed dramatically in those 28 years. It used to be sort of a good old boys network.
For the people you work with or that you represent, how many of them would you say an average percentage are women?
Maybe 30%. I think you do have to go the extra mile to instill the confidence in the client when you're a female, or at least it used to be that way. It may be that I'm just older and more experienced, and I come in with, more confidence than I did when I was 26 years old.
What skills have you gained as a public defender that you think have helped you as a person, may have helped you professionally if you were to go into other careers?
People approach me, people who wanted me to consider going into court administration. They all wanted me to be a judge. I don't want to be a judge.
Why not?
I don't want to be in the position where I have to penalize other people.
Okay.
I'd like to help them. I know a judge's role can be to help them just as much as penalize them, but I would be put in that position where somebody is not amenable to treatment or rehabilitation and have to send them to prison, and I don't think I could sleep at night.
As a public defender, how do you think that that work could help Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson if she were to be nominated to the Supreme Court?
Our first public defender nominee. Well, I think that it shows that she will have compassion. She knows the difficulties that people face, the indigent defendants. So she's going to bring that perspective to the bench if she's, eventually sworn in, and let's hope.
What do you think are some of the greatest legal challenges that face women today?
I think there's a bigger burden on women as the primary caretaker of the children. I know that in the private sector, women are still dealing with disparate treatment as far as pay and professional advancement.
Why do you think women are seen as the primary caregivers for children, even in situations where maybe both parents aren't responsible or ready to have a kid?
Because they are the ones who gave birth to that child. I think that that's just the bottom line core of the reason why they're deemed responsible. I do know that in the domestic relations law area, the woman is considered there's a presumption that she is the custodial parent.
Yeah.
And one responsible for the needs of the children, until and unless the dad jumps in and asserts his rights, at which point there has to be a determination of who's better suited to be the primary custodian of the children.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Sorry we ran a little bit over.
Thanks, Alex. Coming up after the break, Starbucks is unionizing. Our politics correspondent, Bella Ramirez, will give us the latest updates.
They said I have troll teeth.
That my voice sounded like a possessed baby doll.
That no one would ever love someone as stupid as me.
That I was fat, ugly.
Disgusting.
The effect of bullying is potent. We will no longer be the silent majority.
Now, when you see online bullying, there's something you can do about it.
We're gonna take action with the I.
I am a witness. I am a witness. I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness, and so are you.
Checking your fantasy league?
Nah, just my 401k statement.
Nice. Where'd you find the money for that?
I just been saving a little every month.
I can't seem to save anything.
Well, what about all this? What about the money you're spending?
What money? It's gone before I can get my hands on it.
I got a pizza for a Todd.
Hey, can somebody spot me?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind.
It's 547.
Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org.
Hey, Gabby, how you doing? How's the play date and sleepover?
Dad, it was great.
Awesome. Okay, I'm on my way.
Hey, guys, what are you doing?
We're going swimming! We're going biking! Yeah!
I'll see you in a little bit, guys. I love you.
Hi, babe. How was school today?
Hi, Dad. It was great.
Okay, honey. I'll be home soon. Remember, you're never too far away from your kids to be a dad. Reach out and take a second to check in, because sometimes the smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life.
Todd's a great guy. I mean, look at him. What a sweetheart. Attaboy. Wait, Todd, what are you doing? How totally selfish and un-Todd-like of you. Come on, Todd. Come on, man.
Welcome back. Starbucks is unionizing. Our politics correspondent, Bella Ramirez, gives us the latest updates now.
Starbucks is stirring with a new contagion, unionization fever. The first Starbucks unionized December 9th, 2021 in Buffalo, New York, and since then has only expanded its efforts with over 40,000 followers on Twitter and a now nationwide movement to unionize the coffee chain. Now the efforts take place in Boston.
We have a very, very well-loved and well-functioning store. And so I think people are really surprised when we say that we want to unionize. And I think it's a good symbol for the idea that it's not just because we're, upset about specific issues that are resolvable by corporate. It's a larger issue that we're trying to tackle.
Starbucks refers to its workers at all levels as partners and keeps a tradition of holding one seat open at corporate meetings for baristas. To workers like Hayes, though, the symbolism isn't enough.
I think that in general, the term partner is used a ton at Starbucks. It's what we call each other instead of like employees, or like the people who work in corporate are partners. Us retail workers are also partners. But yet the conversations and dialogue we have are not that of a typical like partnership. Like there is absolutely hierarchy. So this idea of unionization is like, let's go ahead and fill that seat for the baristas and have us actually there at the table and represented.
Starbucks corporate has taken a stance against unions, explicitly stating, quote, "From the beginning, we've been clear in our belief that we do not want a union between us as partners, and that conviction has not changed," end quote, in a December press release.
They can explain to their
employees why they think the union cannot enhance the benefits. What they can't do is threaten, because of the unionization, to subtract from their benefits.
This past February, the coffee conglomerate also released a website titled One Starbucks, with reasons employees should vote no for unions. Harper, unlike Starbucks, argues in favor of unions and cites successful unions as anti-racist and anti-income inequality actions.
One of the reasons is the decline of unions, and that's not just correlated. I think there's a causal connection. If you have unions, you have more political power in the hands of the common worker, as well as more economic power.
Starbucks unionization efforts continue both in Boston and nationwide. Reporting for Good Morning BU, I'm Bella Ramirez, Boston, Massachusetts.
Thanks, Bella. Coming up next on Good Morning BU, Addison Cummings tells us the latest in sports.
You didn't give up on sex. Don't give up on birth control either. There are more methods than you think. Find yours at bedsider.org.
Looking for these? You drive buzzed. It could be one very expensive ride.
First, you gotta make bail. Then pay me to get your car back.
Your insurance premiums will go through the roof.
And my legal fees just keep adding up. All told, it could end up costing you $10,000.
Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
So, I just moved in with this family, and it's embarrassing. The little one, he likes to go outside and crawl around in the giant litter box. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, I was born and I knew how to use the litter box. Look at that. That's disgusting. Oh, poop already. You're making me nervous. Oh, okay, I can't look at this anymore. I really hope he grows out of this, for his sake.
Welcome back. Next up, we have GMBU's correspondent Addison Cummings with the latest in sports. Addison, what can you tell us?
Thanks, Chloe. Starting off with Boston University news, this week was all about hot streaks. For softball, they really made their home advantage count. Through this week, they've won all 4 games of their home games against rivals Merrimack and UMass Lowell by a combined score of 30-5. The second game of the Tuesday doubleheader, Lizzie Avery produced a no-hitter, the university's first no-hitter at home since 2014. With the Terriers finally getting some action on home soil, look for them to use that to their advantage and get their season on track. However, they go back on the road to Easton, Pennsylvania for 3 games against Lafayette over the weekend. One hot streak came to an end this week, with the men's lacrosse team losing for the first time this season against Harvard by a final of 13-10. While the Terriers never let in this one, that didn't stop Vince D'Alto and Timmy Lee from each grabbing hat tricks. Finally, the BU roller hockey team was invited to this year's Division III National Championship, which starts on April 6, where they'll look to bring home the university's first title in the sport. While men's and women's ice hockey weren't able to get it done in Hockey East, Terrier fans still have hope for hockey supremacy this season as the team heads up to Kalamazoo, Michigan. While it was the last hurrah for 2 1 seeds, it wasn't the end of Coach K's career at Duke. His young Blue Devils squeaked by Texas Tech by hitting clutch shot after clutch shot. With a win in the Elite Eight this weekend, the Duke coach would set a record for Final Four appearances. The stage is set for potential history to be made.
Chorus. They all said it. And
And they said it with enthusiasm. You know, we want to do this. We want to go man. And God bless them. What a great group these kids have. They've grown up so much in the last 12 days. It's such a joy. It's an amazing thing. We good?
Now, back to you, Chloe.
Thanks, Addison. Coming up, correspondent Stephanie Joseph gives us entertainment's biggest headlines.
To Maddie, congrats on paying off all those student loans.
Finally, right?
How'd you manage that anyway?
I started tracking my spending, changed a couple of habits.
Wow, I'm kind of living paycheck to paycheck right now. I don't even know how I'm doing it.
Well, have you tried saving a little?
I want to, but where's that money gonna come from? Bill collectors, they're the worst. Am I right?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind.
Not home.
Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org.
Looks like it's done.
Don't let salmonella get funky with your chicken. On average, 1 in 6 Americans will get a foodborne illness this year. You can't see these microbes, but they might be there. So learn the right temperature to cook each type of meat. Keep your family safe at foodsafety.gov.
Welcome back. Our entertainment correspondent, Stephanie Joseph, is here with our latest trend report. Stephanie, I hear there's a major awards show this weekend.
That's right. Let the countdown to Oscars Sunday begin. After 3 years without a host, the Academy Awards will air live on ABC at 8 p.m. Eastern with comedian Wanda Sykes and actresses Regina Hall and Amy Schumer hosting. Beyoncé is expected to take the stage live for the first time in 2 years, the Academy announced Tuesday. The R&B songstress will perform Be Alive from King Richard, a Best Picture nominee, about the father of tennis stars Venus and Serena Williams. Queen Bee will be joined by several other performers, including Billie Eilish. The Academy came under fire this week after West Side Story actress Rachel Zegler said she wasn't invited to the show on Instagram last Sunday. Fans and industry professionals quickly came to the star's defense and called on the Academy to extend an invite. The Academy then reportedly asked Zegler to present at the show, and she confirmed on Twitter Wednesday that she accepted the offer. West Side Story received 7 nominations this year, including a nod for Best Picture. In more local news, Zendaya was spotted in Boston with boyfriend Tom Holland last Sunday. The two were seen inside a Tate Bakery and Cafe located on Boylston Street. The Euphoria star has been in Boston for the past 2 weeks for her latest film, Challengers. If you're looking to head out this weekend as well, then make sure to buy a ticket to see immersive Frida Kahlo at the Lighthouse Art Space at the Castle on Columbus Avenue. And if you can't make it, then be sure to tune in next week as I take you inside the show and talk with those behind its Boston premiere. That's all for me here with this week's Terrier Trend Report. Back to you, Chloe and Alex.
Thanks, Stephanie. I know what I'm going to be doing this weekend. I'm going to be standing on Newbury Street, hoping that I run into Zendaya.
Good choice.
Thank you. That will do it for this episode of Good Morning BU. Be sure to tune in next week as we continue and to cover the student election and welcome Fight to BU's Dhruv Kapadia to talk about the election.
And BU's Giving Day is fast approaching. Addison Cummings sits down with the Executive Director of Fundraising to break down how Terriers Athletics is getting involved.
On behalf of all of our staff here at GMBU, thank you so much for watching. I'm Chloe Liu.
And I'm Alex Dowd. Stay safe and have a great weekend.
Congrats on paying off all those student loans.
Finally, right?
How'd you manage that anyway?
I started tracking my spending, changed a couple of habits.
Wow, I'm kind of living paycheck to paycheck right now. I don't even know how I'm doing it.
Well,